As Africa struggles to feed its population due to climate change, poverty and conflict, the Horn of Africa and parts of East Africa are experiencing their worst drought in 40 years. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies says millions of people in these regions are facing a large-scale food insecurity, and more than 5 million children are facing acute malnutrition. For more on this alarming reveal, I'm joined live via Skype from Geneva, Switzerland by Jagan Chapagain, Secretary General of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. He recently visited communities in East Africa that are impacted by the growing hunger crisis. Mr. Chapagain, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you for having me.
Start by telling us what you witnessed in the northern part of Kenya.
As you were reporting, we saw actually a very difficult food insecurity situation impacting almost 20 million people in Horn of Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia alone. And 14 million of them are actually, some people use the word on the verge of starvation. I witnessed a very high level of malnutrition. The Ileret town I visited, I was told that the global acute malnutrition rate there was 53.6%. And as you know, the 15% is considered an emergency. So this is almost 4 times higher than what constitutes an emergency. Large number of animals died, and these are agro-pastoralist communities. And for the last 2 years, they didn't have rain. So no new food production, the animals dying, very high rate of malnutrition. And in this particular village, of course, the very, very basic health facilities and the nearest health referral hospital is 500 kilometers away in Marsabit County. So, of course, if there is a health issue, I was told that it's an 11 hours drive. So very, very acute food insecurity situation I witnessed.
And what would you say are the major drivers of this food insecurity in that region?
I think it's a number of reasons. Of course, the climate change has massively impacted not only Africa, many parts of the world. But nature is not the only cause for this. As we have seen cycles of droughts and food insecurity in Africa, some people told me that the current food insecurity situation is worse than the one experienced in the mid-80s. And we have seen cycles of drought and people dying out of hunger. Just in 2011-12, we know more than 200,000 people died because of food shortage just in Somalia. So there are reasons beyond just the nature or the climate. I think there are systemic failures of development that hasn't reached some of these populations. I think there hasn't been sufficient investment on development issues, the agricultural issues, but also sufficient study and analysis that whether the pastoralist way of living is sustainable in many parts of Africa. So while there is a very direct impact of the climate change, there are also other reasons which is driving this food insecurity.
Mr. Jagan, in the report that came out of IFRC, there's a report about 5 million children facing acute malnutrition. What is your organization seeing in parts of Ethiopia and also in Somalia?
Of course, I personally went only to Kenya. I didn't manage to go to Ethiopia and Somalia, but I was told that situations are very similar. As I mentioned, just in this place, I visited 53.6% malnutrition rate. I visited the basic health facility there, which was full of children, which were severely malnourished, and actually they needed a special treatment in the health facility. So I think out of 14 million population who is very highly food insecure, almost 1/3 of that population is children, and this of course immediately impacts their health. But you can also see the long-term impact of people so severely malnourished at this age. It will have a long-term cost on the health services and of course their own personal well-being. So it is, in my view, a very serious situation which requires not only national attention but also international attention. And of course, it is understandable that right now the huge attention is in Ukraine crisis, and rightly so. But we also need to realize that the Eastern Africa, 90% of their wheat imports comes from Russia and Ukraine. And now,
what's the impact of the Ukraine war, very briefly, on the continent?
I think the first has been, as I was just mentioning, that the 90% of the wheat import came from Russia and Ukraine. That is, of course, very badly impacted. That means the already food insecure population have to face with the significant price rise. In a number of countries, the price rise has been already 40% compared to the last 5 years average. And there has also been increase in the energy prices. And as you know, when the price goes up, the energy price goes up, it again impacts on the all other costs. So the people who are already food insecure have to now face this a second challenge that is of the price rise and high inflation because of the crisis in Ukraine.